Hello and welcome to Talk of the Traitors. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend.
How have you been, Hannah Townsend?
We have had a wonderful week.
We actually have had a very lovely week.
We really have. We didn't know it was Blue Monday when it was Blue Monday. And don't worry, Blue Monday is usually very blue in our household. However, 2026 Blue Monday was marvellous.
It was really funny because we were having a really particularly nice day. And then like a day later, we were like, wait a minute, that was Blue Monday.
I'd hate us too.
I know, it's really smug and annoying, isn't it?
We did a junket that went incredibly well for Is This Thing On? So I'm sure you will see that footage coming out soon. We also saw RuPaul on the Underground.
Yeah, we were in Oxford Circus tube station, and then I just heard someone asking for help who was like, we're going to Ealing Broadway.
Literally like that.
I was like, that's the most distinctive voice I've ever heard. And then I saw the person who was sort of in disguise, had almost like a balaclava that didn't fully cover the face and a hat. And I was like, that almost looks like a famous person who's trying not to be seen. And I looked at the face and I went, that's Mama Ru.
That is Mama Ru. We didn't say anything.
No, of course
we didn't
not.
disturb Mama Ru, but we did see, as celeb spotting goes, someone who doesn't live here, pretty cool. Also, how many celebs actually get like the tube?
I know.
Whenever you see a celeb do an interview, they're always like, do you still take the tube? And they're like, yeah, I take the tube. It's like, I've never seen you.
Ru had a whole like entourage as well, which confirmed it. I said to my friend Woody, who loves Drag Race, I was like, guess who I saw today? He was like, who? I said, Ru. And he was like, oh my God. He like freaked out. And I was like so vindicated. I was worried he'd be like, oh yeah, people see him around. People are like, oh my God, it's Ru. That's the thing though, like, I think even if you were like an A-lister, in London, it's so much more annoying to get a car.
100%.
It would take you 8 times as long.
Yeah.
You just hop on the tube. No one cares who you are.
Whenever we do a job and they offer us a car, we always, or most of the time, turn it down because we get very car sick. We're sicky.
We do.
We're sicky people.
But as nice as it is, like I had a job where they were like, we'll give you a car, but it was at like rush hour in the morning. And it took me like 2 hours to get into town.
You actually nearly missed the job, didn't you?
I did. And as nice as it was to be in a car, I was just like so stressed the whole journey because I was like, I could have got here in 20 minutes on the train.
Yeah.
My hubris, my love of luxury has screwed me.
Then yesterday, less good. Why are you looking like that? We were in A&E yesterday. You're looking,
yes.
you're
Sorry.
looking confused. We were in A&E.
Oh yes, you sliced your finger. I was like, what happened yesterday?
Spoilers. I got a new set of knives and I did a lovely little knife unboxing video, which now probably won't be posted. Tell you who made those knives, Jamie Oliver. First the turkey Twizzlers, now this.
Then he comes for your thumb.
So Jamie Oliver knives, they were a collab. I just bought them from John Lewis. I cannot believe how sharp those knives were. And I know that sounds dumb, but when you're so used to a blunt knife and you get brand new sharp knives. So with my old knife, I used to slice through things and my finger would almost be the like stopper for the knife, if that makes sense, because they're so blunt. Mm-hmm. It's like going at it with a ruler.
It's an interesting system.
Now, new knife, not the case. And we wanted to do everything in our power not to go to A&E because the wait times, right?
Yeah.
So we went to the pharmacist down at the end of the road.
I will say, for context, Hannah had really sliced her thumb up. Real nice Kill Bill style, like deep. There was, not to make anyone feel gross, but there was a lot of blood.
It was unbelievable. And the pharmacist, he did take one look at it and he said, you need to go to A&E.
He was like, obviously, you need to go to A&E.
And I was like, do you think? Or do you think He goes, you definitely need, you should be in A&E. So we went to A&E. Turns out if you're bleeding, top tip, profusely bleeding, they see you quite fast.
We were in and out of A&E.
Glued my thumb back up.
Honestly, from slicing your thumb to calling 111 to seeing the pharmacist to going to A&E, the whole thing was maybe 2 hours. It was a fantastic advert for the National Health Service, I'm not going to lie.
We maybe waited an hour and a half before going to A&E because we were like, it'll stop bleeding. Spoiler, it didn't.
I was going to say, though, universal healthcare. High five. Hell yeah.
So from one
Sorry, I just high-fived the thumb.
The problem is when my thumb was bleeding, they kept saying elevate it above your heart. So I kept doing this and you and my mum kept going, thumbs up. Yeah. And I was like bleeding out.
Hannah kept accidentally thumbs upping us, and I thought it was really funny. And then I kept going, who's got 2 thumbs? This guy. Which is unfortunately very funny.
From one dagger, the Jamie Oliver daggers, to another.
I will say, unfortunately, this is a very good advert for those knives.
I've got the stitches to prove. Very sharp.
From one dagger to another. What did James say? I brought my dagger with me.
Did you feel sorry for James this episode, or did you think it was too much?
I have fully decided that I like James and I like his thing and I think he's a good egg, and even if he's wrong, I think his heart is in the right place. You cannot make me question my love for James, unfortunately, even though he was dead wrong.
It's just difficult when someone is so hell-bent on something that they don't know for certain. And he was just certain. And it's good to be strong in your opinions. However, it's hard to not imagine and be able to imagine another reality where you could be wrong.
Yes, but isn't that just always the case? Even when they're correct, from our perspective, because they have got a traitor, they're always guessing. And at the very least, he put a cat among the pigeons, Roxy.
I don't know. I wonder, I'm very interested into what people online think about James following tonight's episode. I'm with you. I have a soft spot for James. Do I think it was, teetering into a little bit mean or a little bit too much at times? Yes. The problem is I think his heart is in the right place. So I don't think he was ever meaning to be mean. I think it was his tactics to try and get people on board and follow him.
It's just tough when, if Matt had been a traitor, we would be giving him nothing but praise.
But famously, Matt wasn't a traitor, and famously...
Yes, but he doesn't know that. None of them know that. That's the hard thing.
But if you were in there, I think I would be someone who would play, or I would hope I would be someone who would play as if, I can't be certain. Because you can't be certain on anything.
It's tough when you're in there, though. You've not been in Traitors, and neither have I. But I can really guess. But I think it is, when you've got the fog of war, when you've got the red mist, I think it is tricky. One thing's for sure, Roxy, the second James was wrong, she was like, yum, yum, yum.
Look, Roxy doesn't I think it's a personality clash.
Absolutely.
That's how it feels.
Absolutely.
I get the sense, I can't speak for Roxy, I get the sense she doesn't get James, right?
They are like a cat and a dog. Truly.
Cat and a pigeon, if you will.
Roxy. No, but to me, they are truly like a cat and a dog, where there's not actually animosity. They just are not compatible.
Yes. It might be a case of outside of this game, they could get on. Their energy's just, it feels chalk and cheesy.
I've got to say it. We speculated last time about who they would give the dagger to. We both thought Rachel. This would be prediction 100 that we have got wrong about this show. They could not have got that more correct. I
was thinking in my deepest thoughts today, they're not going to give it to Rachel, because then she has to play the part of someone who's like, why would they? It's an acting job.
You pull this
No,
card.
genuinely, and I know that's wise after the event. However, I was certain they would give it to Jade, because I think Jade would have been an easier person to pin it on. We gave it to Jade. Jade must be a traitor who's given it to herself.
Yeah.
Versus, I thought James was a very left field, smart choice from the Traitors.
I think it was a really, really smart choice from them. I mean, it was a really thinking steps ahead kind of choice. I was the same of you give it to Matt had heat on him. You give it to Jade had heat. It's just the obvious one-step move of this person's suspicious. Now they're more suspicious. But the weird 4 steps of James will, because they even articulated it of it won't even necessarily implicate James. It's just that James will hit out in the wrong direction.
Yes.
James will use that power incorrectly. In this case, to implicate Matt. And then by doing that, implicate himself. And just basically, all you're ever trying to do as a traitor is just move the energy away from you. And it is crazy in this round table and in the previous, 5 round tables, how everyone will sit there and it's honestly like Stephen and Rachel aren't there. And they will contribute, but no one will ever even look towards them. It's impressive.
If you were given the dagger, is the smartest move not to, question who's the most likely person to give me the dagger, but also, on the flip side, question who is the least likely person to give me the dagger?
But this is the thing they don't do. It's the same with the traitors. You should always be asking who's the least likely person to be a traitor, because it's usually them.
Well, to be fair, Roxy does keep going up to Rachel and Stephen and go, I just need to check. Are you a traitor? Which, obviously, they are always going to say no. I guess, is she looking for a micro expression of lying?
To be fair, I was head in hand when she was doing this, but in her own words, in the VT, she said, look, they're always going to say they're innocent. She's like, maybe I'm just doing this for some personal reassurance. She did acknowledge that it is ridiculous. But as game plans go, walking up to people and saying, are you a traitor? And obviously having them say no.
And the problem is, they say no, and she goes, Good, I just needed
Thank
to check.
God,
And then
yeah.
she takes it like,
Like gospel.
like gospel.
What were they supposed to do? Like a Walter White? Like, you got me. Like,
Do you think we are left with two very strong traitors, or we are left with a group of not so great faithful?
I think we have one very strong traitor in Rachel. I think we have the luckiest traitor of all time in Stephen. I think he's done good work, but I think he's been phenomenally lucky. And I'm afraid to say I do think we have quite a weak group of faithful.
Because we have seen strong faithful this group, but do you think at the end of every traitors we will always get the weakest faithfuls left?
Yes, because I think the traitors, if anything, deliberately hand-pick them.
Yes.
You know, if the traitors' plan is going to plan, they will whittle down the group to basically just the people who are on their side or just kind of clueless. And occasionally you get someone like a Jazz or someone who like slips through the net. And
Well, Faraz, we're seeing.
or Faraz, someone who is not doing the classic gameplay of Roxy of walking up to people and going, "Are you a traitor? You're not, thank God." Keeping his cards close to his chest. You know, he might slip through. You know, Faraz really impressed me tonight, but for the rest of them, I'm just like...
I wonder if the game will have to somehow target that. Typically, the faithful left are always the faithful who are not on the mark, unless you don't speak up, like we're seeing with the Faraz, get to the end and then say your bit. But at that point, you've just got people who are so on. Like, Roxy's not going to turn against Rachel, I don't think.
I also do think Roxy is going to be murdered.
It's interesting. If you're a traitor, would you not just take a punt and kill Faraz?
I think the most obvious person to kill is Jack. Jack is so purely faithful. He doesn't really serve any purpose in the sense that he's not super, super loyal to Rachel or Stephen. But Jack has the shield. So you can't kill Jack. The next options are you either kill Faraz, which is risky, or you kill Roxy, which, yes, she's super loyal to Stephen and Rachel, but by removing her, you don't actually add any negative effect to you. You remove an ally, but you don't add any heat to either of them. And if anything, I think you add a bit of heat to maybe James or Matt or any of the people she's sort of slightly argued with.
But like Rachel said, her head's a bit scrambled. So is it easier to just, Harriet, you should have killed me when you had the chance? If Faraz keeps going with this Rachel theory, would it not just have been smart to get him out at the immediate point? Because I think Rachel has enough sway on the group. I think she is smart enough to be able to bat that off.
And to be fair, this has been a series of traitors where the obvious move keeps working. Jessie was gunning for Stephen. Everyone knew she was. They murdered Jessie. It was basically fine. Harriet put everything on the line to go for Stephen. She got banished. No one questioned it. Like, you can just play the obvious moves. Yes, Faraz went for Rachel. If they murder him, maybe they'll just all forget about it.
Yeah. Claudia was a little bit angry at the round table tonight when she had a word when they voted out Matt.
It wasn't quite the traitors are laughing at you.
I would say it was harsher. She was, did she say, like, what are you doing?
She was furious. And I think it was real.
I guess just because Matt was so obviously a faithful, I think. I mean, am I saying that with the knowledge of sitting at home on my sofa knowing that he is a faithful? Possibly.
Well, he was asking to be a traitor.
I know he was.
He had a traitorish heart.
By logic, would it make any sense for him to give the dagger to the person who suspected him most? Like, probability-wise, mathematicians weigh in. What are the odds that you would do that versus giving it to someone else? I mean, he's right. He would be an idiot.
But that's exactly what we're saying with should they just kill Faraz? That, again, is the very direct move. I feel like the very direct move works on this group.
My head's now scrambled. I don't know.
It's just crazy to me to have, 8 people left? And to not at least look at everyone in that group.
I do think that they will be looking at, like, anytime, the bit that always gets me in Traitors is when someone brings up your name and they have to go, you should question everyone.
Yeah.
It's just
very fair and equitable.
Yeah, it's just such a silly little play that they do back and forth each time that they go, Rachel, and I am suspicious of you. And you go, good. And you should be.
You should be.
And you should be questioning
That's good for
everything.
everyone. There was an interesting line I heard on tonight's Traitors where people were questioning Jade, what's new? And someone said, but Stephen and Jack are allies to Jade. And I don't think we've ever seen that But that implies, because obviously we know they film lots of footage for these roundtables and cut it down, that implies at some point Stephen and Jack have been defending Jade, which would explain how everyone is so suspicious of Jade and yet no one's actually voting her out.
Because they're like batting it away. Or...
Yeah, but it's funny to think that Stephen and Jack are supposedly on Jade's side, but we have not seen any of that.
Well, yes. I mean, so this, like when you say, oh, it's crazy that no one's bringing up Rachel and no one's bringing up Stephen, like I think people probably are in the way that they're like, we should talk about everyone. But if they're not getting voted for and there's not enough heat on them, then why keep the clips in? So I don't think we're, well, it's not that I don't think. I know we're not seeing everything because I know that roundtable's like an hour, sometimes 2.
Yeah.
We're not watching an hour or 2 of footage, so...
But it's interesting that for someone who has so much heat on them, Jade is actually being defended and we're not seeing that.
I think it's just one of those people who, you know, your days are numbered. If you're at the very end, right, and you're someone who's had a suspicion of Jade since the beginning, I mean, you're not gonna say, oh, okay, let's split the money.
But it's so weird, like someone like that, like Jade, who they keep going, you've had heat on you from the beginning, which is not an argument, but it's a thing people say. Usually they do go. Jade has survived a weirdly long amount of time for someone who always has heat on them. I now think like Jade might just make it to the end because as much as they all like to just be mean to her, no one ever really votes for her. It's a really strange one.
Can we talk about the prize pot? There was a point in today's episode where Claudia was like, the prize pot is now at £55,000. That is a lot of money. I'm never turning my nose up at £55,000. What I will say...
I've got 55,000 here. You clearly don't want it. I'll put it away.
...is that they have done so much work to get this money. And realistically, you know, if we saw on season 1, was it split between 4 faithfuls, the prize pot? Like, you could go on, like, the £1 million drop and win, you know, £1 million and be in a studio for a couple of hours. It really like shows to me that Traitors is about the experience.
Yes, but I will say all of the press releases and everything before the show started, it was all, you know, 22 people, 120 grand. They kept hammering home the 120 grand.
So do you think it's suddenly they'll do that helicopter thing where it's like, and the prize pot's been doubled?
Yeah, the money is always completely arbitrary and made up in Traitors. However much you manage to quote unquote bank, I do think by the end they will just basically round it up to 100 grand. It's always roughly 100 grand. It's always like 108 grand. It's like, okay, Claudia.
Based on the end of tonight's episode, do you think we are going to see a dual traitor win? And for this to happen, Steve and Rachel would have to be at the end, possibly with another faithful. And then Stephen and Rachel would have to choose to either split or steal the money from each other.
So I think tonight they were trying to hint that there could be like trouble in paradise between the two of them. I think that's a bluff. I think that's a bit of editing. I think they're actually quite solid as a duo. I'm not going to, you know, pretend that they're probably not both thinking about stealing.
Yes.
But I think they've been pretty solid. I think they probably will go pretty far thinking about it. So we could see a dual traitor win. If that's true, you got safety in numbers. I think they could very easily, with the remaining people who basically all trust them, I think they will get to the point where people don't reveal what they are anymore. They'll definitely get Matt out because Matt's had heat. They'll get James out.
I mean, a lot of people are saying, is it going to be them two and Roxy at the final?
I was about to say, I think it might be those two.
Well,
they'll get Jade out.
I will say, if the option comes down to it and it's Rachel and Stephen and they can either split the money between the two of them or steal, you're so dumb if you steal the money, I think, in this case. Just based on... you look like a bit of a bad person, okay? And I know it's all part of the game, but I think opportunities that will come after Traitors, you will be looked on more favourably if you were someone who wanted to split the money. I know that they say mathematically you should always steal.
That's the game theory.
The game theory is that you should always steal the money. I think in this case you should actually always split.
Well, yes, because there's more of a game to this.
Yes.
There's the career game beyond Traitors. And in that game theory, it's all about just the public like you.
And I think the public, Alan Carr, for example, stealing the money away from the faithfuls is all good fun as part of the game. I think stealing money, I don't know. I wonder how people would view that.
I also think Alan Carr bursting into tears
Helped.
I don't think he did it cynically. I think it was real. But I think that is, you know, if he'd done it maniacally, I think people would have gone, oh, this guy. But I think the fact that he was like, look, I didn't really want to do this.
Yes.
And it was actually very stressful.
Yeah.
Everyone, and they were hugging him and going, it's okay, Alan, you can steal from us. Like that is a nice finale. But I think if you kind of, not vindictively, but if you steal the money in a sort of sneaky way, I don't think the public likes that. That being said, if you're someone like Harry, for example, Harry Clark, who was a traitor from the beginning, forged his way through, and then ultimately did steal the money as a traitor, but just did it in such a marathon way. And without ever really being mean, I think the public respects the graft of that. So it's either about graft or it's about class. But either way, you can never be sneaky.
I don't know. It's just something I was thinking. Maybe people would think it was great if they got to the end. Rachel would definitely choose Steele.
I think also for the two of them, it'd be a good career move for them to win as a duo.
I agree. There would be more opportunities if two traitors won together and could go on to be a little duo of traitors versus one messes the other one over at the end.
Who's this on stage at Mighty Hoopla? Oh my God, it's Rachel and Stephen. Yeah.
I can see it now.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the beginning of final week. We're
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end. What a beautiful little series it's been. And I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the podcast.
Right,
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. And reminder that you can be watching the show on YouTube or Spotify. And please rate us 5 stars and comment. Pigeons, Roxy.
Bye.